Today we're honored to welcome Chef Jeff Grundy to the show today. I'm very happy to have him on. He has an amazing story in terms of diabetes and healing. And as we were just talking about, like, it's such a prevalent condition. Like, so many people are experiencing this in some way, shape, or form. And it's such a blessing to have someone who's been through that journey to actually be able to get to the other side and help people. That's what we have here today. He's written an amazing book, and he goes into so many different strategies to actually heal and prevent diabetes. So, very happy to have him on today. How are you, man?
I am excellent. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Definitely. I'm very interested to hear your story and what you've overcome and everything you're doing to help people today.
All right. Shall we start?
Let's do it.
All right. So my story. Well, my name is Chef Jeff. I own 5 restaurants, a catering company. I went to one of the best cooking schools in the world. But the true story and what I'm all about is scaring people as much as I can.
Hmm.
Right? And then once I've scared them about diabetes, then I take them by the hand and walk them down my, sorry, my roadmap to show them how it can be done, right? So maybe I should step back a second. So with all our technology, right, and medical knowledge these days, right now over 500 million people worldwide are living with diabetes. Can you believe that? 500 million people either have diabetes or they have
It's
pre-diabetes,
a lot.
right? And that number's climbing every year. It's crazy. I mean, it's just super crazy. And I'm one of those 500 million people, right? So recent research is suggesting that diabetes is foundational disease for almost every other disease. I mean, that's scary stuff, right? We're talking heart attack, stroke, um, all sorts of inflammation throughout the body, all related to diabetes, right? So I'm trying to get the word out that, well, let me explain. So I had diabetes now for about 15 years, right? And I took my meds and told myself I was fine, right? As long as I took the meds, I could eat whatever I wanted, right? That's what the meds were for. Well, until one day, about 2 years ago, I needed to have my knee replaced, and the surgeons wouldn't operate on me until I got my A1C lowered. And that like freaked me out, right? You know, it stopped being, oh, okay, I have this diabetes stuff, but I take my meds, no problem. Well, what I didn't realize is the meds were just covering things up. They weren't correcting anything. So even though on the outside my numbers looked a little better and stuff, on the inside your body just keeps getting worse and worse. And I had no idea. So at that point, that's when it became reality for me, right? And so I did what most people do, right? I started researching. And unfortunately, I found out what most people find out, right? There's absolute confusion out there, right? So mainstream medicine's on one side saying, diabetes, it's a lifelong disease. You got to keep taking your medications, right? They don't mention the fact they need their billions, but they keep telling you, take your medications. It's lifelong. Then on the holistic side, you have every expert saying something different, right? One day it's keto. The next day it's plant-based, and everything in between. So people aren't failing because they don't care or haven't tried. They're failing because they're lost in the noise, right? Not knowing which way to go. And changing your diet is difficult. I mean, very difficult. And I found out what works for me may not work for your audience, right? So they have to think about what works for them, not have someone else telling them, oh, you got to do this or you got to do that, right? Think about it. Would you like to eat a rat?
No.
No, right? But if I told you eating a rat was going to solve all your problems, would you eat that rat?
Potentially.
Potentially, right? and probably would for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks until you just got so grossed out, it just wouldn't be worth the effort, right? But that's what happens with most people with diabetes is they read something that says follow this diet and you'll be cured, but they don't like it, and so they don't do it, right? They do it for a week or two. I think we're all like that for everything in life, right? That if we really don't like what we're doing, we're just going to stop, even though we know it's good for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So what I did was, since I was able to get off the meds, and it was a long, hard process, and it's still a hard process every night, trying not to snack and stuff, I came up with this roadmap to help people find what works for them, right? I'm basically say the only program that works is the one that you're willing to do. Right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So after reversing my diabetes, getting my numbers down, as I said, I built the diabetes roadmap to give back to everything I've learned the hard way and turn it into something people can actually be successful with, right? I'm not promising perfection, and I am promising a supportive community that's going to help your audience get to where they want to go.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing that. Something that you mentioned there is people are lost in the noise. And that's so true because like people really want to get well, but there's so much information and it's hard to find where the truth is sometimes.
And even knowing what the truth is, right? Because you have so many people that are supposedly experts, been doctors most of their lives, saying one thing, that they base it all this research, and then on the other side you have the same thing. Other doctors that show their research, and they're totally opposite. And it's scary. You have no idea who to believe, right? So it goes, I guess, back to what you perceive as correct or incorrect already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. How do we start to see through the veil of illusion in a sense and actually see what is real?
I think, and I become more illusioned every day. I read more and more and more. Because I keep hoping I'm going to find an answer. And like I said, it's just so much there. So I think what you have to do, you have to find something that you believe in. Whether you want to be vegan or you want to just do keto or something you believe in, and then make that work. And you make that work by testing. Like one good example would be to start with a glass of water every morning. Right? I don't know how familiar it is, but people with diabetes, their blood sugar goes up at the end of the night. And you would think you didn't eat all night long, it should go down, right? But when you wake up, it goes up. And part of that reason is your body is dehydrated. So just drinking a glass of water helps. So, sorry about that. I meant to close the door. Let me real quick.
Oh, good, man.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
All right. I guess someone came knocking on the door. So it's just that simple as drinking a glass of water. But the key is you do it for a week. And after a week, did it help or did it not help? If it helped, great. Let's build on that, right? If it made no difference and it was a pain to you to do that, then don't do it anymore. Find something else that does work.
Absolutely, yeah. Part of it is that it's just because something works for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just as you mentioned, right? Because even though you have diabetes, it's going to be different from the other person who has it because there's different conditions, even though there's definitely be some similarities, but how you handle it is going to be different for everyone. So part of it is just customization as well.
Absolutely. That's my whole thing is based on that customization, right? Our gut biomes are all different. So like you said, different foods react to you differently. And that's, I got to close the door. I'm sorry. Real quick. See, that's life. Life's always getting in the way, right? And that's why you can't expect perfection in your process of reversing your diabetes, right? Because you got it all planned out, and the next thing you know, the dog's barking, right? And so you're off base. And so my thing is to slowly build and get on pace down a road map.
100%, man. Yeah, adaptability is key, and just kind of like going from there, like always like trusting the process in a sense, and just making progress. That's what it's all about.
Day by day, and expect the roadblocks.
Yeah,
And as you said, the adaptability and going backwards, right? And then going forward. And
100%.
having a community to help you do it is
Yeah.
super important.
So, if people don't know what diabetes is, can you define that real quick?
Um, well, I try and stay away from the technical part because it confuses people. But it's basically your body doesn't handle insulin properly. You have too much of it in the bloodstream. That's why it's so absurd that doctors prescribe insulin to diabetics because they already have too much. Now, if you want to go back, I guess it was in the 20s when they found insulin. It was a miracle for type 1 diabetics, right? Because they needed it. And they were given a death sentence. If you were a type 1 diabetic back then, you died. Probably in your teens or something like that. So it was like a miracle drug. But for type 2 diabetes, where you already have too much insulin, them giving you more makes no sense at all. None.
Right. Yeah, so insulin resistance is basically like you've been giving your body so much sugar for a long period of time, right? And now all of a sudden these insulin receptor sites become resistant. And insulin, for people who don't know, is basically a hormone who kind of lets in sugar into the cells, right? Basically kind of energy consumption, right? And the more resistant we are to insulin, the less we're going to be able to handle that. It's actually be tearing up things in our bloodstream, which is why you get like strange side effects and things like that.
Absolutely. And that's where the inflammation comes in and why it affects every other part of the body, right? Because your blood goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's carrying all that.
Yeah. And we're also talking about how the ADA or the American Diabetes Association had finally admitted that you can actually heal it through lifestyle, right? So we know this, but the treatment hasn't changed. And it's very interesting.
Well, it's because of the marketing, right? These drug companies have so much money to market and convince us. And then you combine that with all the big food, who's constantly has commercials on about eating bad food for you. It's you don't hear that little squeak down here saying, "Oh, you can do it with just food." Does that make sense?
100%.
You have huge companies constantly bombarding you with you need it, you need the medicine. It's in your mind, which is already probably set on what is right and what is wrong, until you get scared enough to really dive into it. And that's my goal, is to scare people enough that they stop listening to the big money and start listening to their health.
Yeah. Those marketers, man, they mess up everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Plus, you have to go against your own mind's survival, right?
Yeah.
We were designed to eat food when we had food, how many thousands of years ago. So we still crave that food. We're still addicted to food. And so the big food companies, they just find stuff that makes you want it even more.
Yeah. Literally, like they have scientists that work hard to make you addicted to the product.
Absolutely. And from their point of view, it makes sense. I mean, think of the CEO of Kellogg's. How long would he last if he said, you know what, stop eating our cereals, they're not good for you? He'd be gone the next day.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so hard, even though they know what works.
Exactly. So when it comes to nutrition, what do you recommend to do generally when you have type 2 diabetes?
Well, I think the big thing is to stay away from the sugar, right? So one of the things I try not to do is tell people, all right, go to a plant-based diet or go to just meats, right? Because different people, as we talked about earlier, react to it differently, and you're not going to do it if you don't like it. But I think everybody says, don't eat the sugar. So that's a good place to start because you have so much of it in you that you're trying to get rid of. So white foods, breads, potatoes, starches, not too much fruit even, a fair amount.
Yeah, I think that's a great starting place. And we need to eat real food though, right? Because like the ultra processed sugary food, as you mentioned, that's such a huge culprit, and like we can't expect to heal if we're kind of like stoking the fire that caused it.
Right. Whole food. And from a personal story, so I've been this chef for like 40 years, right? So I don't like to cook anymore. And even though I know it's bad, I'll eat some processed food, right? And sure enough, I'll watch my A1C go up and down through my monitor. Yet when I go to my girlfriend's, she cooks everything from whole food. And I can eat a huge amount of food and my sugar doesn't spike at all, right? So what you said, whole foods may be the best way to go. Well, after you got rid of the sugar, then
Right.
your whole food.
Are you familiar with how vegetable oils could potentially affect diabetes?
Seed oil, you mean?
Yeah, seed oils.
Okay, so, and that's an interesting one. So I was researching about, I don't know. Well, let's even go back a little further than that. I read a book, and this guy, there are three things, and one of them is seed oils. It's like the downfall of the whole civilization. That people started getting shorter, and all sorts of stuff started happening when we started eating wheat. And the seeds, and then the corn and all that. And so all these bad oils, and I knew they were terrible, right? So I made this list so I could tell people canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed, flaxseed, grapeseed, peanut oil, are all pretty bad for you. At least that's the big thing on the internet right now, right? The big fad, how bad they are, right? Because of the inflammation once again. So I was going to go get some research. As I was having this conversation with somebody else, I could say, well, look at this research. And what I found on the internet was seed oils aren't bad for you. It's all a hoax. Right? So it's back to before is who do you listen to? Right? They said part of the seed oil thing is the omega 3s and 6s, right? And there's just too many 3s, right? So we need more 6. I get the numbers backwards. But I think that's it. And they were saying they're getting a bad rap because just because you're getting too many of one doesn't make the other one bad. Does that make sense? Did I lose you there? So I don't know if that answered your question that yes, it causes the inflammation which causes everything else. But then you can go out there and look at I think one of them was even the Mayo Clinic that said, oh no, they're okay for you. So who do you believe?
Yeah, it's my understanding it's more so about the ratios.
Oh, yeah, the ratio of the 3 to 6, right?
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So when it comes to diabetes, what are some misunderstandings that you kind of see taking place in terms of healing practices?
Well, the first one is that it's not reversible, right? It's a lifelong disease, and you have to take the medications, right? So, and I think that's a huge fallacy. And so you have to learn that it is, and there's so many people that have reversed their diabetes, me included, from the food. So that's number one. Number two is you don't have to stay on a strict diet. You find what works for you. What spikes you, and by wearing a monitor, right? I think it's really important that you're wearing a monitor so you can follow what you eat and how it affects you, right? Um, I lost my train of thought. Oh, we were talking about things people need to know. Um, and that it's a slow process. If you don't start slow and build and build and build on what you've already done, you won't last for a few weeks, a few months at most before you go back to what you were doing. It just won't be worth it.
100%. So, why do you believe it's so difficult sometimes for people to change diets?
Well, one is the bombardment of the marketing of eat this, eat that. You know, Domino's recently had a huge pizza you could get for like $10 with all the toppings on it, right? So it's hard for a person to see such a great value and not want to do it, me included. um, right, so that's number one. It's coming from all sides. Eat this, eat that. It's okay for you. It's healthy, right? It's scary all the food that we say is healthy on our food shelves that aren't healthy at all. Right? If you go back to when those Harvard researchers started out with food pyramid stuff, and they all agreed that they all lied because they got paid by the food companies. So our whole food pyramid's based on a lie because of money, big money.
Yeah.
So so that's one reason it's really hard, because you're bombarded. Two, you might have a family and you gotta feed that family and they don't want to eat your diet. Right? So there's outside forces forcing you. Right? You go to work and they have a tray of donuts there every morning or cookies or whatever. Right? So there's so much pressure on you to eat, to eat, to eat, and not necessarily what's good. So you got to train yourself on what's most important, right? You have to have a big enough why. Why do I want to not eat that stuff? So when that time comes, you can pick the right choice.
100%. I like that. Part of it is also because once we have like a paradigm of eating sugar, it's just like our bodies are used to it. We're almost kind of wired for it in a sense. But after a while, I'm sure you can attest to this, your cravings kind of disappear in a sense because you're kind of satiated. Do I have that right?
You're saying if you stopped eating sugar, the cravings go away?
I mean, I feel like when people are kind of on that in a sense, they're just so wired for it, right? But after a while, and you kind of go through that, it's like they could potentially disappear, or at least the resistance is far less.
Well, I've read that many, many times that eventually, if you're eating healthy foods, you're not going to want to eat sugar anymore. And I agree partially that some things, at least from my point of view, some things don't taste good anymore that I used to like, but I battle with that craving every night. Every night. And the only way I win is I don't have anything in the house that I can go get, right? It's just, the cupboards are bare. I took out all the sugar.
Yeah.
So now it's just, apples and whatever.
Yeah. You mentioned having a strong why and that purpose, right? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and that goes back to what I'm kind of trying to do, is scare people that diabetes isn't some simple little thing, that there's not a good chance, but a chance you're going to lose a limb, have to have it amputated. You might go blind. It's not like something that just happens now and then. I mean, when you look at the whole country, there's thousands and thousands of people that are going blind and losing limbs. But more hidden that you don't see inside you is that chance for a heart attack, right? Alzheimer's. There's even research now that links Alzheimer's to diabetes.
Yeah. Some people are calling it type 3 diabetes.
Yes, that was it. Yes. And yeah, so I forgot the question again. Um, I have COVID. What do you call it? Long COVID. Um,
Oh yeah.
but so it's all hidden underneath that people don't see so much. So they get that. Oh, the why. That's what we were talking about, right? So you got to let them know how bad it is before they can say, well, maybe I do want to be able to watch my kids grow up, right? Go to their weddings. Maybe I do want to be in my 70s and 80s and traveling all over and not have to worry about walking with a walker or any of that stuff, right? You got to have a reason. I think all of life is that way. That if you want to really accomplish something and be successful, there has to be a reason because there's so many roadblocks along the way that you just give up.
100%, man. Yeah, reasons reap results for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
The more reasons you have for something, and you really kind of feel that and kind of almost rehearse in your mind in a sense, it's almost like it's like pulling you toward life that you want.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that kind of goes with identity too, right? You have to change your mental identity if you want to be successful,
Yeah. Because some
right?
people like they say that they're a diabetic. I mean, I feel like when you use that type of language, it's going to make it harder for you to kind of make the shifts necessary to heal.
Yeah, absolutely, right. You want to believe you're happy. Like, here's a couple examples out of the book where we talk about. Sorry, looking for my glasses. Um, like if you're having cravings, right? You pick something good and you say, I choose freedom, not sugar, right? Like an apple or something. So you're changing your identity, right? And your morning ritual. I'm becoming the healthy version of myself, right? Just auto suggestions that are going to help change your identity. As you said, instead of waking up and saying, I'm a diabetic, what do I have to avoid today? It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, our decisions shape our reality, and we filter them through what we value, right? So just keeping these things on top of mind as much as we can, it's just going to make it that much easier to decide how we actually want to in our hearts.
Yeah, yeah, I truly believe it's more mental than it is physical, right?
Yeah.
And creating these new habits, little habits that build upon themselves.
So we talked about nutrition. So what other pillars of wellness would you recommend? Do we talk about sleep? Do we talk about like building muscle? What are your thoughts?
So checking all the above. So that's kind of where the roadmap thing came from. Is that first you work like on nutrition, then there's a chapter on working on sleep and how important sleep is. So the body has a chance to recharge itself, right? There's a chapter on exercise. So going out and doing that 10-minute walk after dinner every day is like huge, right? But you got to remember you don't want to start out walking a mile because you'll do it 2 or 3 times and you won't do it. But if it's a 10-minute walk, you're more than likely willing to go out and do that 10-minute walk, right? So each one builds upon itself to make your whole body healthy. I mean, the whole mental thing, the stress. People don't realize how bad the stress is for their diabetes. Now, of course, there's good stress. I don't want to be saying all stress is bad. I mean, because it's like building your muscles. You do need some good stress in your body to keep getting better and better, but not our good old American stress.
Right. So it sounds like taking these small steps, like those small steps, like focus on progress, not perfection. Is that right?
Absolutely, right? And they build, right? You don't want to try 10 of them at once. It's not like tomorrow I'm going to sleep 8 hours for sure. I'm going to have my glass of water. I'm going to walk after dinner. I'm going to exercise 20 minutes in the morning. I'm going to do my meditation. And you'll never get anywhere that way. You have to do one small step, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, see the results, right? Because if there's no results, then don't keep doing it. Do something that has results. But then once you're getting it, what is they call it? Habit stacking, right?
Yeah. Habit stacking.
So that's the key to the book is, or the community, which is even better because you have the community to help you follow through, right? Even though I wrote the book, it's not going to change your life, right? I mean, just reading it is not going to lower your A1C, your sugar. You got to do something, right?
Yeah,
And
it's all
the
about the journey.
community is what helps you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see how having a community, like, or people on the same journey who have actually been through it, that can be very empowering as well.
Hmm.
To my understanding, sleep is very important in terms of this because I've come across some research showing like just being sleep deprived for one night can make you as insulin resistant as a type 2 diabetic. Have you seen anything like that?
I don't think I've seen that one, but I've certainly seen a lot of research that says it is bad. Once again, it's stressing the body because the body has to recharge, right? It has to process all that sugar in your body.
Yeah. I mean, that's like when our primary hormones are made, like it kind of deal with these types of things. So we're kind of depriving our body on that. It can be difficult to heal from anything, really. So,
Hmm. And the consistency is there too, right? If you can sleep the same certain hours every day, the body has a chance to catch up. And this is just me thinking, it knows what it needs, right? So it knows if you're consistent, that it's going to get that sleep to recharge every night. And
exactly.
that's just me guessing. I don't know if that's true or not.
Are you good? So, in terms of working out, what do you recommend? Like, do you recommend building muscle? Do you recommend walking? Like, what are your thoughts?
So it goes back to the main thing. You got to do something you'll do. I, you know, interval training might be the best thing in the world, but if you won't do it, it's not any good for you, right? Bicycling might be great, but if you don't want to sit on a bicycle, then it's no good. So what's the best thing is something you'll continue to do. Now, I think it changes with age. Um, once you get over 50, they say you should do more resistance training and stuff. But that's a whole nother world. My world is just getting you to do something every day. Not telling you what to do or how to do it, because there's 1,000 other books and YouTube videos and all that out there on how to do that. What I want to focus on is helping you find something you will do.
Yeah, 100%. So, in terms of building muscle, like, I like to talk about that because it kind of is a reservoir for where we store sugar, so we can kind of tolerate it a little bit more. You aware of anything like that?
Um, no, actually not. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, so the muscle is basically where we store glycogen primarily, which is stored sugar. So the more that muscle we have in our frame, the more sugar we can kind of tolerate in a sense, the more we can kind of consume. So kind of almost kind of builds a tolerance. It's like a buffer in a sense.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just I mean muscle in general, it's so important like for overall longevity too.
Especially since a lot of the people, my audience is over 50, um, aren't doing very much with their muscles. And that's when it's getting to be very important to make sure, so bones stay good.
Yeah, 100%. Even things like walking, just kind of like regulating your bodies, clearing out things, it just kind of makes things run more efficiently in a sense.
Hmm. Yeah, that is kind of why our number two thing is to first drink that water and then walk 10 minutes a day. And then we move on from there.
Yeah, man, as you mentioned, like the small steps and these all kind of work in synergy, right? Once you start to kind of like build these processes and these habits within yourself, it's like that's when things really start to work, I find.
Yeah, when you can actually see the progress, feel the progress, that brain fog starts to clear up a little. It's like, wow, I'm going to keep doing this. This feels good. You're creating your own, and I forget which hormones they are, but drugs in your mind that make you feel better. And so you want to
Yeah,
keep doing it.
orphans.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I bet that can be very motivating, like because you've been experiencing this one way of being for so long, but then you start to have the symptom relief and you start to feel progress. I mean, that's when you really start to feel alive.
And if you're doing this right, for most people that are overweight, you start losing weight. And so you can see that too. It's like,
That's
wow,
right.
I can feel a part of my stomach that they say a lot of the bad stuff is in, I forget, in those cells there that's gone now. I can feel the skin where the fat was. And that's supposed to be full of poison. And once again, I don't focus at all on the technical, the scientific, because I find it pushes people away. So I want them to just feel good. Not necessarily know the technical reason why they feel good. Just you feel good, keep doing it.
Makes sense. I mean, because the thing about health is like when you start to take on these practices, it really works for everything. Like every condition, in a sense, is kind of like the same foundational principles. But even though you may have to adapt it based on your circumstance and the given condition, like you still have to follow foundational principles, like eat real food, sleep well, work out. Right? It helps everything.
Everything. It's just like you said, it's synergistic. It just keeps growing and growing and growing
Yeah.
exponentially.
In terms of supplementation, is there anything that you recommend to kind of like keep blood sugar stable?
See, once again, every book I read recommends something different, right? It's got to be what works for you. And I don't know if you're probably too young, but when I was younger, MLMs were a huge thing, multi-level marketing. And back then it was all about these drinks you could have or pills you could take or that made you feel great. And the thing with them was, for some people, they felt great. They thought they were miracle things, right? And so they were going to show them to everyone. But what they found out was it didn't work so well for somebody else. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for someone else. Once again, back to the gut and the biome is that, we need different things. Different people need different things. And so, no. I mean, supposedly... I don't want to say something because it might work for one person, it doesn't for the others. I take mushrooms every day. I take my fish oils, the multivitamins and all that. I for a while I made sure the probiotics were a certain kind and the prebiotics and all that. And but it might not be for you, so I don't want to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of things out there. Just kind of experimenting, as we mentioned, just kind of do what works for us.
Yeah, but I think the fish oil is huge, once again, because you're back to the omegas and trying to balance them out, like in the seed oils.
Yeah, fish oil is so important. Or just like those omega-3s in general, just kind of, we tend to be deficient in those, like make sure you're getting like good amount of fish and things like that. It's a important health tenet too.
Mm-hmm. Like an example, I did have the our DNA testing done a while ago, so I knew what was good and bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was taking turmeric every day, and then it came back that turmeric's bad for you, which was really weird to me because it's supposed to be one of those miracle things, right? So we're all so different. And you could do that kind of testing, the rDNA, and find out what's supposedly good for you and bad for you. But once again, I lost my faith in some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some of that as well. I mean, sometimes you just gotta take it with a grain of salt and not like be like, this is the way, right? Because I feel like a lot of these things they come together and they're just pieces of the puzzle, right? Not everything works exactly as it's mentioned. That's why we have to put these things into practice ourselves and just kind of go from there.
Are you familiar with bulletproof coffee?
Yes.
So recently I've heard several different people talk about how they did it for years and years and finally just stopped because it just wasn't working for them anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I think everything is kind of like that.
Yeah, we have to kind of like, we also have to listen to our bodies, right? Because things that work for us right now, they may change based off of future things. Like our goals may change, our health may change. Like things, we have to adapt to circumstance. You know, it's kind of the theme we've been talking about.
No, absolutely. Right? We do change.
Yeah.
Right? And as you make some things that were really bad healthier, it makes other parts of your body healthier too. I think you kind of mentioned that before. So it builds upon itself. So you might not need something you needed before as your body gets healthier and healthier.
Exactly. Like there's certain goals, or like as your fitness goes up, or things like that. Like just kind of adapting it to whatever you have going on, and it's a skill in of itself. Just kind of learning how to do that, and that's why it's important to stay the process and keep on moving along in that journey.
Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you need that community, right? Everyone, not everyone, but lots of people think they can do it on their own, but it's just so difficult. So difficult. That's where having other people, like you said, that have been through it or are going through it now to bounce off of and help buoy you up, whatever the
Yeah.
word is.
How do we start to build that community if it's something that we're kind of in need of?
Well, you could come work with me. That would work. But no, just find like-minded people. I mean, with a 500,000,000 pre and diabetic people out there, I think you could find somebody else that's in the same boat you are. Um, and if you could do it at work too, that helps. Because like I said, the temptations are rough, right? Even though I've done so well and everything, the temptations are there. And especially like with the holidays. It's incredibly difficult to not eat all these good things. And you know what my answer to that is? Eat them. Don't punish yourself. It's a once a year or twice a year kind of thing. Go ahead and enjoy it. You're not going to keel over dead the next day because you ate way too much sugar that day. Enjoy yourself. Once again, the only thing you'll do, plan that works, is the one you'll do. And you gotta give yourself forgiveness. You gotta go off course.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to like give yourself permission. Just give yourself grace, you know. Again, like whatever is in alignment with your values, and just kind of, as long as you make decisions that are based on what is right for you, I think that's where the most importance lies.
Yeah, and understand what works for someone else won't work for you, right? Because very few people are going to do what I do.
Yeah.
I fast for 72 hours every other week. Very few people are going to do that. But for me, I get such incredible results from it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I mean, fasting can be very beneficial as well. Do you want to mention that a little bit?
Yeah, well, hugely beneficial because it gives the body a break. And there's different amounts of times you can do it. And autophagy, is that how you say it? I can never pronounce it correctly. That's another thing. Some say it kicks in after 24 hours. Some say after 18 hours. Some say 48 hours. And basically that's when your body starts eating itself, for people that don't know. And it starts eating those bad cells and allows the body to heal itself much quicker and release a lot of those poisons and stuff that are stuck in your cells, like in your stomach, like I was talking about earlier. So I think the best way to do it, if you want to fast, is to get a couple books. Never just do one. Get a couple books, or there's thousands probably of videos on YouTube, and pick one, but start slowly. Don't think, oh wow, I'm going to get this huge results by fasting for 72 hours, and try and do that right away. You'll never make it 72 hours. Start with a 12 hour, and then go to 14, then 16, right? Until you find your sweet spot, what makes you feel best, and figure out when's the best time to do it. Like I start on a Sunday afternoon. I don't even miss Sunday night dinner, It's just, I don't even think about it, right? So Monday's rough, Tuesday's fine, Wednesday I'm almost done. But for other people, it might make more sense doing it once a week for 24 hours or twice a week for 18 hours. You got to find what your body likes best. But any way you do it, it's a great thing to do. It's
Yeah,
a lot of
100%.
research on that.
Yeah, just cleaning up that cellular debris, it's so important. And even just doing intermittent fasting every day, that can be very helpful as well.
Yeah, and you know the benefits. I think better now than I used to. A lot of my pains have gone away. I used to have, and that's probably all based on reducing the inflammation from the fasting.
Definitely. And as you heal, like going back to community a little bit, like you can be a light and a model for others as well. So that can be part of the inspiration, right? Because you're looking for those people that have been through it, but now you become that person. You can actually be on the other side and be of service like you are.
And when you're helping other people, you help yourself.
Yeah,
Definitely. So many people say when they became a teacher, they understood the material so much better because they had to explain it to others. They became clearer with themselves.
that's a good point because like each person, like they learn differently as well. So it kind of like learn how to explain it and taking complex topics and making them simple to understand so people can implement it in their life. I think that's what a great teacher does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Making things simple. And Einstein has a great quote. Don't know it offhand, but it's something about if it's simple to fix, it's right. If it's complex, it's not right.
If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough.
Yeah,
I believe that's what it was.
that sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
There's so much good stuff out there. And trying to find your way through it. That's the hard part.
Yeah, just navigating that terrain and you know understanding that there's so many different ways of doing things, but adapting the model to you and just kind of learning these foundational principles. Like, 'cause there are certain foundational principles like eat real food, right? You can't really escape something like that. But kind of like working within those to kind of adapt it. That's the key.
Hmm. And what whole foods? I mean, we can say eating whole foods is great, but for some people, certain foods aren't great. For some reason, they have allergies to them or something. They don't realize they're hurting their own body. That's why I think it's important to constantly be checking yourself and saying, am I feeling better? Am I feeling worse? My weight going up? Is it going down? How's my sugar doing? So I think it's pretty important for most people that are diabetics to wear a meter so
Yeah.
then they can monitor and see what's happening.
Yeah. Because like even as you just mentioned, like just because it's a real food doesn't mean it's like right for you in a sense. So doing that experimentation and consistency, that's another big thing to get into as well. Just kind of doing these great things, but doing them day after day, that's where you start to see results.
Yes. Yeah, and it builds upon itself.
Definitely. So along that, like, what would you kind of recommend if people start to get off course? Like, maybe they kind of stray off a little bit. Like, how do you start to kind of give yourself grace and get back on track? Because that's a common thing as well. We just kind of like throw in the towel and it's over.
No, absolutely, and that's a big problem for a lot of people. I've done this before. It's not going to work for me, right? Or I get off track, I miss a couple days, and they start berating themselves and saying, "Oh, I'm no good. I can't do this. This doesn't work." It's all back to that identity thing. You got to shift your identity. That okay, so I missed a whole week, right? I went on vacation somewhere recently. Man, I can't even remember where I was. Oh, up in Connecticut. And I ate terrible the whole week, right? Because we had all that great seafood, and it was great. Um, but the key was when I came back, it wasn't to say, oh, I screwed up, I shouldn't have done that. It was, okay, I enjoyed that, now let's get back to being healthy. So I think the key is once, again, the identity that I'm not a diabetic. I eat healthy foods as often as I can and enjoy the process, right? It's like you didn't screw up. You were just having a good time. Now let's go back. And even if you weren't having a good time, maybe you just went out and ate a bunch of bad stuff. But I don't know that anything's bad if you do it every now and then. Right now, if you bring home a bag of cookies and eat it every night, now that's bad. Now you got to say, okay, I'm doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. Why? Well, because it just tastes good. Well, can I find something else in the house that tastes good too? So don't bring the cookies in the house. Buy a bag of apples, right? Get some nuts. Just be really careful. And there's another chapter in the book on this, on reading food labels. Because when it says healthy on the front, it's probably not healthy on the back when you look at the ingredients. You know, once again, it's the American way that they can do all sorts of stuff that just makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is, go back to your identity. Why am I doing this? I want to feel healthier. Is that going to make me feel healthier? Or is not eating it going to make me feel healthier?
Yeah.
So just being positive with yourself, giving yourself grace, as you keep saying, and just start again. And then fall down, just start again. Fall down, start again. Right?
Exactly.
Yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow counts.
That's right. I like that. Just keep moving forward, take it day by day. And also, you had mentioned hemoglobin A1C before. Can you describe what that is real quick?
I can read it to you. So it's like glucose is attached to the hemoglobin in the red cells. And the A1C is a measurement of that. But once again, I'm not really good at explaining it because it's not a focus to me. I just know the higher it is, the worse it is for me. But if I try and keep my mind and try and help other people keep their mind on what they feel. Now, obviously, I have mentioned wearing the monitor is super important, but that's so I can see day to day what I'm eating, if that's going to affect me or not.
Yeah, makes sense.
Does
And
that
understanding,
make sense? I'm sorry?
I said my understanding, it's basically like a 3-month snapshot of your blood glucose.
Yeah, but the new ones are instantaneous, too. They're not as exact, but they can tell, like a monitor has it, what happened today. What's happening now. And it can tell me what my A1C for the last week is, for the last month, for the last 2 weeks, and for the 3 month. So the technology is changing. And I may be saying this wrong. I just know from the monitor what I see. But I don't have to fast anymore. When I go to my diabetes doctor, they don't have you fast anymore.
Interesting. Okay. So,
But you're right. It is a 3 month, the last 3 month
yeah.
reading.
Is there anything else that you would think would benefit people in terms of knowing what to look out for in diabetes or any healing practices? Like anything else on your mind? Jeff Grundy still there? Still there?
Yeah, can you? I don't see you yet. I lost power at the house.
Oh, really?
And it's gorgeous weather outside. I have no idea why we lost. But I hear you. I don't see you yet.
No worries.
Oh, there we go. We can't access my video. Okay, we should be back on now.
Yeah. Basically, I was just asking, is there anything else you would recommend for people who have diabetes or anything on your mind in terms of healing practices you want to get out to people?
Once again, it's small steps at a time, right? Habit building, stacking, right? Don't try and do everything at once. Try and learn, but take everything you read with a grain of salt. And monitor your body. That's the most important thing. What your body says. If you don't enjoy doing it, you won't continue to do it. So,
Well said.
so more than one, but
Awesome, man.
enjoy the process.
Yes, totally. Yeah, so appreciate you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your story, sharing your insights with us. It's been really awesome. There's so many things we can learn about. And again, it comes down to foundational principles and then customization towards that. So thanks for coming on. And if people want to get connected with you and your work, where can we find you?
Yeah, my website is YOUR, diabetesroadmap.com. And I have a book on Amazon. Pretty much goes through the whole thing we just talked about and shows you the way. And if you want to get a free copy, a free download, just go to my website. So it's yourdiabetesroadmap.com/ebook. And you can download the book for free there. Or if you want, for $1, you can try out the community also.
Wow, we appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right. No, the whole idea here is to help out your audience.
Yeah, so it's all about, man. Always about being of service. So I appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, take care.